So at number 10, I went with Belle. So Belle has always been one of the best brawlers in the game. She has been very consistent ever since she was released. The reason why Belle is very consistent is because you can literally play her everywhere. She's good against pretty much all the brawlers, and you can play her in a lot of maps with no problems. If a pro player gets to play with Belle, then he's most likely to win that match. If you want a gem carrier, then Belle is a very good option. She's not the best, but she's a very good option. If you need a heist brawler in those longer range maps that can easily win fights against those short range damage dealers, then Belle is a very good option. And then if you need a good sniper in bounty, you can choose Belle. Other snipers are good against her, but those snipers are normally banned in the draft. Brawl Ball is her worst game mode, but she can still work in some open maps. So yeah, make sure to max out Belle for rank. So next up in this list, I went with Leon. So a lot of you may disagree with me on this one, but I actually think that Leon is pretty underrated. He's not one of the worst brawlers anymore, and you can pick Leon everywhere. So let's go through the game modes. In Gem Grab, you could just use his invisibility gadget to give you and your gem carrier invisibility, and the opponents will always be struggling to know where you are with Leon. All you need to do is just charge that first super, and then you can just keep on cycling and chaining supers till the end of the game. Bounty is probably his best game mode because once he gets his super and he can counter snipers pretty well, a good Leon player can win pretty much all the bounty games, and he's pretty underrated. I've seen a lot of the pros going Leon in maps like Hideout, Shooting Star, etc. In Brawl Ball, he's not the best, but you can make Leon work there, so Leon has a use case in every single game mode, and that's why I picked him to be in this list. So next up in the list, we have Angelo. So Angelo is a really good pick in Knockout and Bounty, but he's particularly good in Bounty because there are literally no brawlers that truly counter Angelo. So when you pick Angelo, the opponents will really struggle to find an answer to him. With Angelo, it really depends on the player, because if you're not that good at the game, you might not be able to do well with Angelo. But to be fair, I've seen a lot of bad players getting away with playing Angelo just because of his insane abilities. He can shoot 4K damage shots, he deals even more damage with his super, and he can heal up while standing on his super when he's still shooting, which is insane to me. You can pick him in Knockout. He's also very good there in open maps with some water, because he gets a huge advantage by just walking on water. So the next brawler that you must max out for ranked and is particularly good in the draft, we have Gene. So Gene has always been one of these brawlers that are very underrated by the majority of players, but is actually very good, and he's being picked a lot in the pro matches just because of how easy he is to play and how consistent he is. So in Gem Grab, he's a very good gem carrier because he can scout bushes easily with the vision gear, and no brawler just fully counters Gene because you can always pull somebody into a teammate, just take down those brawlers that typically counter Gene. Gene is one of the best brawlers in Bounty, because he's actually got a good matchup into a lot of snipers now with the Ghost Gadget, because it's very good at finishing off kills. You should be definitely picking him in Knockout. He's one of the best brawlers there. So yeah, make sure to max him out for ranked. So next up in the list, we have Buster. So Buster is one of the best brawlers in the game, and ever since he got his hypercharge, and he's dominating the meta. So Buster is pretty hard to counter because in pro matches, what players do is that they group up until the gas close in, and that allows Buster to simply get a free hypercharge, which he can use when the gas closes in and win the round easily. His gadget is also one of the reasons that make Buster very hard to play against, because his gadget quite literally just guarantee you a kill against any brawler that gets hit by it, because Buster is always grouping up with his teammates. So once he pulls someone, all three of the team just kill him instantly. So Buster is arguably the best pick in Knockout, but I still don't see anyone picking him in my matches, and nobody even bans him, so you can pick him in the majority of your Knockout matches. So next up in the list, a brawler that I really like to pick in my rank games, we have Bo. So people are starting up to realize how good Bo actually is, but still in this rank season, I just get to play Bo whenever I want, simply because no one actually bans him. So Bo is just great into everything because eventually people are going to just feed him his super up, which he can use to block key point on the map. I really like to play Bo in Heist because when you think about it, there are no good Heist brawlers that also counters Bo, and all the Heist maps are just so good for Bo because he can just place his mines on key points on those maps, or simply just place them on top of the Heist safe. I know it's sometimes stupid to put your Bo mines on top of the Heist safe, but they do actually deal a lot of damage to the safe, which is the main objective of Heist. Bo is also very good in other game modes like Gem Grab, Hot Zone, or even some Knockout maps. So yeah, make sure to consider him more when playing ranked.
So moving on to a very good pick on Hot Zone and Heist, we have Amber. So Amber has always been one of the best picks in Hot Zone and Heist. People would normally ban her on different game modes as well, but these are two particular ones that she's very good on. Ever since they released her Hypercharge, and Amber has been pretty strong in Hot Zone. She was already good before the Hypercharge because she's just good into everything. There aren't really many counters to her, except for assassins, but Amber can also kill assassins pretty easily thanks to her gadget. She doesn't work in very open maps because snipers can easily counter her, but her super just provides so much value by covering a huge area on the map. So you just want to cycle a lot of those supers when playing Amber. Amber also has quite a lot of HP, and it takes players a lot of time and effort to actually kill Amber, so she can get a lot of zone time in Hot Zone. I just really like her in Hot Zone, and she's always going to be a really good Hot Zone brawler.
So next up in the list, we have Max. So Max is very good in Brawl Ball, and people in my ranked games are just scared of going Max, mainly because Max required very high skill from the player. But if you're already used to playing Max, or you're very good at dodging, then Max can be the best brawler that you can pick in Brawl Ball, Bounty, and some Hot Zone maps. There aren't really any true Max counters except for tanks, because Max isn't a tank counter. But if you pair her with a good tank counter like Griff, then you can pick Max pretty comfortably. Now again, you can play Max in pretty much all the game modes, but I've been having so much success with her on Brawl Ball. She's probably one of the best picks there. Of course, you can pair her with an aggressive brawler like tanks or assassins because they really appreciate the speed that she gives to them. So yeah, make sure to max her out and pick her more in your Brawl Ball matches. So the last brawler in this list, we have Tara. You mainly want to pick Tara in Gem Grab. A lot of the pros have been saying that Tara is one of the best brawlers in the meta. I think she's overall decent because she only works in Brawl Ball and Gem Grab. So the best counters to Tara are Sandy, but Sandy doesn't really get picked a lot in this meta. And then you also have Janet, but actually most of the times Janet is banned in Gem Grab, so you can just have a free game with Tara. There are too many tanks in this meta, and there aren't enough brawlers that hard counter those tanks. But Tara is one of the few brawlers that have a fast charging super. She can team wipe pretty much any comp with her hypercharge. I've been seeing Tara being picked in tournaments or in Pro and Masters in ranked. Tara is just good everywhere, and players aren't picking her enough. She's extremely underrated, and you should 100% max her out for your ranked game.